Hey everybody, it's Sophie and Marco. Dish out on the movies. I'll try to do this as best I can, but we've had some terrible news, so I'm not going to say what it was. But anyway, Marco and I did a list of 10 movies that you might watch on Halloween. And he did a couple honorable mentions too. And so he did one for like adults, and I did one for kids because I seemed like I could remember the kids ones more. And I did look things up to kind of verify like the names and the dates. So anyway, we'll do Marco's first. So he did adults, and like I said, he did honorable mentions. So first of all, one honorable mention is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974, and he's having trouble speaking, so I'm reading what he wrote, okay? So he said, when I first saw this movie, I was surprised at how nonviolent it was. Then I came to appreciate it as a young adult. I find it endlessly rewatchable, creative, and scary. There has never been a movie exactly like Texas Chainsaw Massacre since. I disagree with people who criticize the characters for being forgettable. They are more memorable than 90% of the characters in the Friday the 13th series. My favorite part is the hitchhiker scene. I love how even before they go to the bad family house, they already encounter one of the bad guys and have to fend him off. I also think Sally is one of the best final girls ever. The actress playing her was instrumental in making this movie as good as it was. Okay, another honorable mention. We have one more, okay? And the next one is Dolls. This is a movie we just saw for the first time last year, and one of the best full moon movies. I guess movies where people are trapped in a big scary house or mansion are inevitably good movies to watch on Halloween. I don't know why. I think the premise is great, and I love the friendship between the Sean Astin lookalike and the little girl. I wish this movie got a sequel before Puppet Master got its millionth one. Okay, now here we go with the top 10. And the number 10, and these are the 10 movies Marco thinks, plus the honorable mentions, that would be good for an adult, or even a kid probably, to watch on Halloween night. It would be Monster Mash, and it was made in the year 2000. And he says, I have always loved this movie since I was a kid. The premise is the Universal monsters versus the New Age monsters, like Jason, Alien, and Chucky. It has a great Halloween vibe to it, and is a lot of harmless fun. I also think the version of Frankenstein in this movie is superior to other versions. Okay, number 9, Sleepaway Camp 1, 2, and 3. This is kind of a cheat, but I don't care. The Sleepaway Camp movies are tried and tested good movies to watch on Halloween. The first one is a good horror movie. The second one is a good mix of horror and comedy. And the third is just goofy fun. Angela Baker is the best slasher of all time. What she accomplishes is more impressive than what the majority of other slashers have in their movies. For instance, she kills every single person in the entirety of Sleepaway Camp 2. Even the final girl, if you go by the official continuity. These movies also give you more of a summer camp feeling since they all take place in actual camp, unlike 90% of the Friday the 13th movies. Okay, and we go to number 8, and I don't know if a lot of people have seen this movie because it's been around a long time, and I don't know, sometimes it's not easy to see some of these movies, I mean, to get access to them. So this would be number 8, Motel Hell. This is another fun and quirky movie. There are some genuinely creepy moments in this movie aside all the humor throughout it. I would definitely categorize this as a drive-in movie. It is also one of the few horror movies that is a one-off. My favorite part is the beginning, when the sister is pigging out on junk food. The only part of the movie I don't like is the romance between the police guy and the blonde girl. It's somewhat hokey. Number 7, Night of the Living Dead, 1990s. Obviously, you should watch the original Night of the Living Dead. However, the 90s remake is a vast improvement entertainment-wise. It is scarier and meaner with zombies who are nasty, thanks to the great special effects by Tom Savini. I also thought the casting was better for the most part. I also loved how Barbara pointed out that you could just walk past the zombies to make an easy escape. Finally, I loved how Cooper was the one who survived in this one and the addition of the attic as a place to hide. I have to take a drink.
He temporarily survived. He gets killed at the end by Barbara.
Barbara. Okay, number 6 is the Monster Squad, and I actually have this one on my list. And this is another one that you never see. Like, you know, you have a streaming platform, and they'll show all the they like for Hulu, they call it Huluween, and they'll have all these movies, but you never see this anywhere. It's called The Monster Squad, and he has it at number 6. And he says, this is an underrated classic. It did a great job at bringing the classic monsters into the 80s. And by that, he means Frankenstein, Dracula, the Mummy, and, well, they don't call them, where is it? The Creature from the Black Lagoon. They don't call it that. They call it a different monster. I have it in my notes. It also somehow feels like a sequel to The Goonies. Yeah, it does. And recaptures that same feeling. The only thing I don't like is some of the music, and also the Creature from the Black Lagoon is underdeveloped. And I kind of wonder if that's a copyright thing, because that is kind of odd. It's not, the other ones are very definitive. Definitive Dracula, definitive the Mummy, definitive Frankenstein, but the creature is odd. So, and they don't even call it that. They call it something else. My favorite part was when Dracula got hit with the garlic pizza. I wish there was a sequel to this movie. They could have had them versus the 80s slashers. It would have been a cakewalk to put Jason, Michael, Leatherface, and Freddy all in the same movie. Okay, number 5, Haunt. Haunt is another movie Sophie and I have only recently seen for the first time. It takes place on Halloween, which helps, and has a great fun story. I love movies about haunted houses. I thoroughly enjoyed this one and would recommend it to anyone. The only thing I don't like is the final girl. She has the same facial expression the entire movie. Number 4, Return to Salem's Lot. I unironically like this one better than the first Salem's Lot, which is interesting. The story, this one just came out. The story is one.
No, it didn't.
It didn't? We didn't just, we weren't just.
Return to Salem's Lot.
Okay, never mind. The story is more intriguing. The music is fantastic. And the idea of a town full of vampires is creepy. There are a lot of goofy moments for sure, though, but that doesn't mean it isn't a very fun time. Okay, number 3, Abigail. This is a new release movie, which makes it much more impressive that it made it on this list. I love the cast in this movie and the simple story. I also love the mix of humor and horror. I feel confident in saying this is a modern horror classic. It's very creative, and I recommend it too. Okay, the next one is number 2. We're almost done. And this is Goosebumps 2. I actually have this on my list as well. It's Goosebumps 2 Haunted Halloween, and which is really funny because the first Goosebumps movie was horrible. And so when this came out, this number 2, we thought that it would be more of the same or even worse. But we were pleasantly surprised watching it years later that it is so much better than the first one and very rewatchable. So anyway, this is what Marco says about it. This is yet another movie Sophie and I only recently watched. It feels like a Slappy World book made into a movie in the best possible way. Slappy as a character is actually interesting in this movie compared to the other one, Anne, in the TV show. This also takes place on Halloween, which makes it another great choice to watch to set the mood. And his number 1 movie, which is very surprising, and I did not pick it on my list at all, is My Teacher Ate My Homework. For some reason, this movie has become the number 1 movie for me to watch on Halloween. And I think this is another one that's not very available. So I don't know if any of you, if some of you may have not heard of it, or never even seen it. So it is worthwhile if you can catch it somewhere to watch it. So anyway, it's a perfect choice for Halloween 2024 since Shelley Duvall passed away earlier this year. The story is fun and simple and involves a boy getting a doll that looks like the teacher he hates. If it gets hurt, his teacher gets hurt. The doll quickly takes over his life and also has more sinister intentions. The doll shop in this movie is creepy. I like the idea of a voodoo doll combined with a Chucky type of character. This movie has a lot of good bad quality to it. My favorite part is when the sister meets with Saul, S-O-L, played by Margot Kidder at the library. This was right around when she started going crazy, and this role perfectly captures that spirit. She says, quote, "Trouble with voodoo is real trouble," end quote. This is probably one of the best cameos in horror history. So that's it, and I wish I kind of had that on my list because that is a really good movie, but I forgot about it. I think this is a movie that we got it from the library, maybe. No, Marco says the video store. It's hard to say because...
The video store in Xenia.
Yeah, we would go to this video store in this other town, nearby town, and they would have these kind of offbeat, weird movies. And I'm just saying weird because, I mean, you've never heard of them. And this, I think, was one of those. We would find stuff at the library too, but at this video store, they seem to have quite a few of those. And so anyway, it is a good movie. So if you if you can find that too, it's called My Teacher Ate My Homework. It's pretty good. So I'll take a drink, and then we'll go to my list. And I do not have any honorable mentions. And I did not write anything out because Marco wrote all that out for me to read.
Sophie's nickname in high school.
No,
Her
he
nick- her
doesn't
nick-
know
her
anything
nick-
about my
her-
time in high school.
Sophie's nickname in high school was dishonorable mention.
Yeah, right. Okay. Now, I kind of was thinking of kids in mind, and I did, like I said, I did look up a list online to kind of help me out in thinking, but you know, they did not have Monster Squad or the My Teacher Ate My Homework. They were not on the list. Of course, I didn't look at the whole thing, but the ones that are featured are ones that people are familiar with. And I kind of, too, that some of them were, I think they're more for older kids. So you kind of have a mixture, but then younger kids, like, they're so iconic and interesting that they might like them too. So anyway, I'll start. And remember, I don't have any honorable mentions. I better take another drink. Okay. My number 10 is Haunted Mansion 1.
Ooh.
Not 2. 1. Because it was made in 2003. And it's very light, and it's, I'd say it's kind of aimed towards younger kids. But I liked it because Eddie Murphy's in it. You know, he's in a lot of, I don't know, those, what are they? The pet movies where he's a veterinarian or whatever. And he's really good in those movies with kids. You know, he'll have a family. And that's basically was here in this one too. And they move to this mansion that's haunted, and they have to deal with it. And it's number 10 because it's the weakest of the group. But you know what? The first one is about 1,000 times better than the second. I really did not like it. And it was made in 2003. The second one I didn't really like. So number 9 is Addams Family 1. It was made in 1991. And what it's about is con artists try to trick the Addams family out of their money because they're very wealthy. And it was a pretty good movie. They had all the characters. Thing, which is the hand in the box. Lurch, who's that, like a butler type of character who's really tall and looks scary and has that voice. But I'll tell you, the series, the Addams Family series, is really funny. And it was so fun at that time with the characters and the little storylines. It was a really good show. So if you ever can check that show out, that's something too that might be fun to watch. And I don't know if there was a show, like one of the series shows took place on Halloween. I don't remember. There probably was. I would think so. Okay. Number 8 is Beetlejuice 1, and that was made in 1988. Now, there have been a lot of, you can actually catch that on Hulu and probably other places too. It was good and funny and creative. And so much better than the second one, which just came out. It had Geena Davis and Alec Baldwin. They're this couple. They die in a car wreck, but they won't leave their attic. And then they have this, after the car wreck, they're ghosts. They just stay in the attic. They don't seem to leave, and they don't want to move on. And this new people move in. And of course, Winona Ryder is the teenage girl, and somehow she can talk to them. But anyway, I don't know if they want to leave or, but the people who live there want them to leave. And so, anyway, somehow, or the couple in the attic want the newcomers to leave. So anyway, Beetlejuice gets called because, you know, if you say his name 3 times, he comes. And they find out, everybody finds out it's a big mistake because he's bad. And then they have to get rid of him. So it's funny, creative, and they play that really good music where their Beetlejuice controls their actions at the dinner table. It's a great scene. It's an iconic scene. That's called Calypso music. And when I was a kid, I went with my family to Nassau in the Bahamas, and that's when Calypso movie was the big deal back then, and they played this song as well as others. Okay, now my number 7 is Ghostbusters 2, and that was made in 1989.
Oh.
That was sequel to 1, Ghostbusters. And
Sophie literally just looked up movies you should watch on Halloween and picked and chose like kids movies and shit.
well, that's because it's for kids. This is for not for adults. This is for kids.
Sophie,
I said that.
You're an adult.
Yes,
woman.
but I decided for kids, so we do one for kids. Why not do something different?
Okay.
So anyway, the same team that's in the 6th one, my number 6. The original team, they get in trouble because when they did the first one and they got rid of the ghost, they tore up a lot of buildings and they got in trouble. They took them to court and they made them disband and made them move out of their place. But what happened was a different ghost came back, and then all the other ghosts got released, and they got a big mess again. So they had to go back to work. And I thought this was okay, but it's not as good as the first one. Okay. My number 6 is the first Ghostbusters. The first one was made in 1984. It has a really catchy song. And with Sigourney Weaver, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and anyway, I thought it was good and funny, original and creative. And the ghost, it wasn't just regular ghosts. They also had these creatures like, I think it was Slimer, and who just made a lot of mischief, and things got worse and worse and worse, and were haunting the whole New York City. And so this team gets together, they wear these outfits, and they have these machines with them that freeze the ghost and capture them into they have this place in their building that they keep the ghost under wraps. But I thought it was really good and creative and the best. Okay, my number 5 is the Goosebumps 2 movie, which Marco talked about, called Haunted Halloween. It was made in 2018. And these 2 kids meet Slappy, that bad dummy in the Goosebumps series, and of course Slappy World and that huge book series. He kidnaps one of the kids' moms and brings all the bad monsters out of the Goosebumps books to wreak havoc on the town. And so they have to somehow stop what's happening, and we really thought that if you ever watch these Goosebumps movies, this is the one to watch. The first one's trash, but the second one's really good. Okay, number 4, and Marco reminded me of this. This is mainly for younger kids, I think, but it is really good and surprisingly good. I had young boys, and they wouldn't watch. There's no way they would watch Olsen twin movies, but somehow we got this at the library and checked it out, or got it at the video store.
Sophie, I literally did.
Okay,
I watched other ones too.
And anyway, it was good, surprisingly, and so I put it at number 4. So I don't know if older kids would like it, but it's just good though. It's very it has a good story. It's called Double, Double, Toil and Trouble. And it features the Olsen twins. It was made in 1993. And basically these twins have a bad aunt she has a twin sister who she's captured in a mirror, and they have to save her in this family home. And it's a really fun movie. So I recommend it. Okay, my number 3 movie is Casper. In 1995, like Casper the Friendly Ghost. It's just called Casper, though. And it had Christina Ricci and Bill Pullman. And he plays a psychiatrist to ghosts. So people will hire him, and they go from town to town all over the country. What he's trying to do is somebody has a haunted house, and he's a ghostbuster in a way, but he's a psychiatrist to ghosts who tries to help them move on so they won't stay there anymore. And that's what they get a job in. I think it was in Maine, and they moved to this great big house. And he also has a secret. His wife died, and he's able to contact all these ghosts, but he's never been able to contact her. And it was Amy Brennan or whatever from Judging Amy, who's in that The Old Man. Anyway, she was okay in this. She doesn't have that big of a part. But anyway, the house is haunted, and the people who got it in their will, they don't want it. And so they want the psychiatrist to rid the mansion of the ghosts. People can't even work on the property because the ghosts haunt the workers. And it's, it's the ghost from Casper. Stinky and the rest of them. And so it's a fun story. And he does get to talk to his wife at the end. But it was made in 1995. I thought it was pretty good, and it is rewatchable. I have watched it several times. So my number 2 movie is Monster Squad, which Mark already talked about, and it was made in 1987. And like I said, this is hard to find, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's easier to find now, but I never see anything about it anywhere. And it's 5 boys and their friends. And they have to fight Dracula. Oh, I know, here it is, the Gill Man. That's what they call the creature from the Black Lagoon, and I'm wondering why they didn't do that. I don't know if it's a copyright issue or what, but they just called him the Gill Man. And then the Mummy and Frankenstein, and they're all, the kids are great, and they're like a they're a team, and they're looking for this amulet, which gives them more power and will enable them to stay around a while and run everything or whatever, and they've got to get rid of them. And it's a good movie. It's fun, and the monsters look great, except for this Gill Man. He's not, as Marco said it too in his review, and I'm just wondering if it's a copyright thing. He just doesn't look as authentic and they don't call him his regular name as in the original Universal Monster. So I don't know. But anyway, that's number 2. And my first one, Marco's going to be surprised, and you're probably going to hear a groan and whatever. But I thought Hocus Pocus 1.
Oh.
It was made in 1993. And I thought the actors in it were really good. And I thought it was fun. It had witches and history and magic. And we have Hulu, and apparently Disney bought Hulu. So we can get Disney movies on Hulu that we didn't ask for because it's part of the ownership. And so they've had Hocus Pocus 2. Now, I've watched some of it, but I think this original one is the best because it came out, it's creative, it's new, fun, interesting, And you know, there's a little kid and there's big kids and the teenagers, and I just thought it was really good. And so I think teenagers, but also younger kids like it. It's good for both. So that's my number one, and I can't say anything about number two. So anyway, Marco's showing me something. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Surrey Snellenberg. I have no idea what that's supposed to be. But anyway, that's it. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And what are you watching tonight? It's going to be a very sad night for us. And for a few days, it's already stressful because of the election. But I mean, it's just a terrible situation. So anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up and become one of our over 600 subscribers so we can have more subscribers. And join the party. And also let us know what you are watching on Halloween. Are you watching anything? There's football tonight. Maybe you're watching that. So anyway, goodbye everybody.